So, ladies and gentlemen, apologies for last video. The glorious Alexis Jonas was muted. It was an issue that happened with the recording, but it has since been fixed. So, this Dragon Age the Veilguard situation from start to finish has revealed the true nature of a lot of people. From journalists, and we've talked about that, but also from streamers. You see, I have a video that I want to react to today, and don't worry, we're not going to react to the whole thing because it's an hour long nearly, but this is Asmongold reacting to a smaller content creator, and the reason why I find this so interesting is the guy in the main video that's being reacted to. He's obviously somebody that wants to be part of the same establishment gaming culture that Asmongold is a part of. They want to be part of the same group, and I've never wanted to be part of that. And the reason is because in order to do that, you have to play a certain type of game that I'm just not interested in. And what you're going to see from this is very clearly these people do not want to be honest about this situation. Not Asmongold, not this individual here. Because what they're trying to do here is make an equivocation between you, the gamer, and the people that are ruining gaming. And saying, no, it's just both of you. It's radicals on both sides. And this is what pseudo-intellectuals do. When they don't have the ability to really formulate their own type of argument, they take this middle of the road approach because they think that it's better. It sounds better. It makes them feel like they're on the moral high ground because, I take things from both sides, but here's what it really is. You had a bunch of woke freaks that wormed their way into a company that people loved, which was Bioware, and decided that they were going to make drastic fundamental changes to Dragon Age, which people liked. Here's the disparity in terms of dynamic and power. These people changed the game. They bought and paid for reviews, whether it was through insider access or whether it was through dollars and cents directly, doesn't matter. The fact is that a lot of these reviews were giving the game a 9 or 10 out of 10, telling the consumer that this was a return to form to the Bioware that they love, that this was going to be a triumph. They basically tried to scam people out of their money. Now, whether this guy or Asmongold gives the game a 6 out of 10 is irrelevant. That's their personal opinion. What is not an opinion is the fact that this game, for the majority of gamers, is not acceptable. It does not meet the mark of a 6 out of 10 game. Not even close. And the reason I'm saying that is not to score a political win, as Asmon constantly goes back to. It's because from start to finish, I can look at this game and say, okay, the marketing was terrible. The review scandal was terrible. The game itself is on the back of a series of failures from Bioware. This game needed to be a 9 or 10 out of 10, and it just wasn't. We can look at the viewership, we can look at the cultural conversation, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, what is abundantly clear is that this game failed to meet its mark. It is not just a fine game, it's a terrible game. And it's for a variety of reasons. That dialogue, boom. I was out of the experience when I was watching it. I was out of the experience the moment that the characters were as unlikable as they ended up being. As aggressive and hostile and just weird and, like the Asian elf girl who is just an absolute imbecile. And here's the deal. Here's why I don't agree with Asmongold. And we'll watch a little bit of this. But Asmongold himself reacted to this. Game devs have lost their mind. Do you guys remember this? To try to make a comparison between gamers and these people is insane in and of itself. It reveals a sort of moral cowardice that you're not willing to fully address this issue. Because there is no comparison between gamers and what you're about to watch.
What the What's this? They stood outside and screamed in unison to complain about the state of the gaming industry. Watch a bunch of game developers screaming in a public park to protest the state of the industry. Wait, so this is real? No way, right?
I'm gonna let it go on.
We're in the midst of a tremendous mental health crisis.
That's true, but it's not on both sides. And that's the thing that needs to be discussed here. This isn't the case of, oh, gamers are just as bad. They're just as awful. They're just as radicalized. They're just as. No, they're not. What they're doing is they're reacting and they're matching energy, and they've been bombarded for 10 years. See, what Asmongold doesn't understand because he just got into this is that back in 2013, games journalists were writing articles saying that gamer culture is over. You don't have to target gamers as your primary demographic. And this was an ongoing thing across multiple different gaming publications. Gamers have been under assault and under siege for over 10 years, and they've had enough of it. They are done with it. They're not the ones that decided to put politics in the games. Gamers are not the ones that decided to add top surgical stars to a game, which is just disgusting and creepy and weird, and affirms trans, ideology. Which, by the way, I would never do. I think that in and of itself is the most radical thing that you can do. I would never be so cruel or be so empty-minded or virtue hungry to promote an ideology and a way of life, or a cult-like phenomenon in my view, that has a 40% suicide ideation and then a 15% regret ideation on top of that, and that's being conservative. It is a mental health crisis, you're correct. But instead of addressing it, people like Asman and people like the other guy in the video just want it to stop. And so they say, well, let's talk about both sides being bad. No, how about we not? How about we address the actual problem? The actual problem is not gamers. The actual problem is not wanting women who are attractive. It's not wanting, hey, let's get rid of body type 1 and 2. It's not people who are addressing this honestly and openly, as myself is doing. The problem is the people that are actually pushing and peddling this stuff, because they are mentally ill, they are degenerate, they are freaks, they are evil, they are demented. Their worldview, their ideology, and everything that they believe in is heinous. And it does not coincide with what gamers want. And what I find more often than not is in the midst of this, content creators, and I'm not just pointing out Asmongold, I've also talked about Angry Joe, but a lot of them, desperate to be in the good graces of the industry and these companies, will affirm some of the most deranged, demented shit imaginable in order to go after gamers because it's an easy target and they don't want to lose their access. Angry Joe did this with Battlefield 5. The gaming community said, we don't want a bionic arm female bludgeoning Nazis on the front lines of World War II. We don't want that. That's weird. Now, the people that worked at EA said, well, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And Angry Joe, basically called everyone misogynist who, was for it. Eventually came out to apologize, sort of. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. But it's like, content creators do this. The corporation, and by the way, EA is one of the most greedy and despicable corporations in the gaming industry. These corporations will do something astonishingly stupid. Gamers will call it out, and then there will be these nimbious middle of the road, like, oh, they're both bad content creators that try to shit on the gamers instead of addressing the problem as it is. And I find that Asmongold does this. I find that Angry Joe does this. I find that a lot of people do this. And then there's the people that don't even address the problem at all, like the Moist Criticals. They don't even address wokeness at all, like the Ackman. To his credit, I think that some ordinary gamers, at least, I think Mudahar addresses it somewhat, barely. But I think at the end of the day, people know not to really cover this if you're one of the major content creators when it comes to gaming. They just try to avoid it, but you can't, because the people that are putting it in there, the people that are making it relevant or prevalent, are in the games journalism spaces. They're in the insider access spaces, and they're also in the development space.
It's just going to be me talking.
And the irony of all of it is that they actually make the problem worse, because they're not very intelligent and they're not good people. So they make the situation worse because they're expecting you to just agree with them, because everyone else in their life agrees with them, at least, on a surface level. So why wouldn't you agree with them? You must be a bad person. That must be what it is. Well, no, it's because you're repugnant, you're a freak, you're evil, and nobody wants anything to do with you. And the reason that you go online most of the time is because nobody in your personal life wants to be around you.
You don't want to debate these
True.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's also about like
True.
right?
True.
It's like basically on the internet, there is like a huge contingency of people that are completely mentally ill,
True.
that are trying to create the rules for social engagement,
Yep.
that have totally fucked up discourse everywhere.
Yep.
Because I don't think it's a problem to talk about politics with a person in public. I don't think it's a big deal at all.
Yeah.
You just have a conversation, listen to what they're saying. They can listen to what you're saying. You can disagree or agree, and that's it. It's not that big of a deal. But for other people, they don't see it that way. And the reason why, it's because like they believe so strongly in these issues. It's that this issue means everything to them. And the reason why they're on the internet is because they've alienated everybody else in their real life
That's
by
correct.
their intense fixation on this issue in a lot of cases.
Correct.
So good.
That's why they're on
gonna
the internet to
come,
begin with.
from dragging your politics and your activism or what
Feel like this isn't normal. This isn't normal. People don't like to deal with this.
in real life. It's not just like brain rot on the internet anymore. It's affecting opportunities. I have people that won't work with me as
What? And so that's why you see like streamers that don't ban abusive people in chat. My opinions on Dragon Age the Veilguard, like the game, as I said, I enjoyed it more than I expected that I would, and I intend to continue playing the game off stream. I don't think it's a great game. I think it's like a 6 out of 10. But I think that a lot of people expected me to completely shit on it like I did with Star Wars Outlaws, and I just didn't do that. And it actually got a lot of people angry at me. And they were mad that like they were like, "Oh, Asmon's gone woke now. Like he doesn't want to offend woke people because he's not, shitting on this game as much as we think he should." I read a lot of comments like that about me. Now, obviously, like everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I don't delete any of those comments. Like if you want to post something like that, go ahead. But I don't really give a shit. But at the same time, it's kind of weird and annoying to read, for sure.
Well, yeah, mostly because it's wrong. It's like you're entitled to your opinion, but it's just wrong. The game wasn't a 6 out of 10 game. It's like you look at the dialogue is a huge component of it. Most of the people that play the game aren't playing the game for the mechanics, and even the mechanics people are talking about it's lackluster. But the character designs, all of the woke propaganda, all that shit crammed in there. Yeah, no, it's not a 6 out of 10 game at all. And people are saying, oh, that's great that you liked it, but it doesn't change the fact that they still tried to scam people by saying that it was like a 10 out of 10 game and that it was a return to form for Bioware, which it wasn't. No, the game is a 2 out of 10, and that's me being honest. And I'm not saying that because I'm like, oh well, I'm on a particular side. I need to conform to this. No, it's because the game all around has been a dismal failure. And the promotion of top surgery scars and ugly, character creators and just this degenerate, disgusting mindset and pronouns in the game, all of that lowers the score drastically. So while it may have been a 6 out of 10 with all that stuff taken out, with it in, it does lower the score.
About it for a long time, and I
So,
don't
like, that's just how it is.
If I bounce all over the place,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm just so frustrated that we can't just talk about our video games. Every time I put out a video on Dragon Age the Veilguard, I have to deal with this. You know, I'm either not mean enough to the game or I'm not nice enough to the game. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, it's not. So you understand, gamers have been bombarded and accosted and mistreated for years. A game comes out where the games journalists are trying to scam them into paying their hard earned money for a game that is woefully inferior and dripping with DEI garbage. You come out and you do a whataboutism. Like, what about both sides? What about, oh, well, these people say this and these people say this? No, it's not equivalent. The game is trash. It's an embarrassing abomination of a game. The dialogue is unacceptable. The storylines, it's like baby talk. So people are looking at your review, and if you're positive, they're scratching their head, going, "What? Like, why are you doing this?" They're kind of skeptical because journalists have spent the last 10 years calling them sexist and misogynist and bigots and all manner of other nefarious things. So it's not really you. It's the fact that they're wondering what your intentions are because they are understandably apprehensive.
It's a culture war, and it's nothing to do with the game at all. They don't care. Like, nobody cares about the game. People don't care about, like, is this game good or not?
That's Asman. That's one of the most retarded things you've ever said. No, I want the game to be good. A lot of people want the game to be good. We all wanted the game to be good because we want Bioware to return to the form. We want the game to be good. That's a particularly retarded thing that you just said, and you should know just how completely out of step you are with, average gamers. Hold on. Sorry about that. I had to take a quick call. It was important. Um, yeah, no, that's completely wrong. No, people do want the game to be good. And I've explained this, and this is something that Asmongold clearly doesn't understand. You see, if the game is good, it's good for me. It's good for Asmongold. He gets to play a game and get lots and lots more views. I get to get more views because if you're bringing more people in, there's more eyeballs on the potential IP. More videos talking about the positives. And that in the long run is way more beneficial. But here's the problem. When you have a game like this that is so obviously terrible and has so many scandals and so many things behind it, BioWare is probably going to go out of business. People are going to lose their job. I don't relish this. This isn't a win. What people like myself are doing are trying to mitigate the losses. We're trying to limit the damage. Games journalists and game developers that are part of that screaming group, these mentally ill freaks, have taken it upon themselves to try to ruin gaming. And I'm here to tell you that it is a major problem. And you doing this whataboutism, like, oh, well, it's just, no one really cares if the game is good. It's just a political war. No. People want the game to be good. But it has to be good under the right circumstances, which is, it has to be a game that tells a story in a way that is respectful to the source material, that doesn't have this modern identity politics bullshit, and delivers dialogue and a story that is both compelling and deep and dynamic as the genre would suggest that it will be. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut this video short. That phone call was something important that I have to address. But I want to leave you with this. There's nothing wrong with you being critical of these games, of you demanding better, of you going on about, hey, journalists shouldn't be trying to scam gamers, and you actually trying to hold these companies and these content creators to account. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I don't think you should be shamed. I don't think you should be compared to the other side. I think that's disrespectful, and I think it does a disservice to talking about these issues honestly and openly. I think you're the consumer and you have every right to articulate your criticisms and do so in a way as vociferously as you like. And at the end of the day, when Asmongold says, "Oh, it's just a culture where they don't care about the game," understand, he hasn't a clue what he's talking about. He's saying this because he feels like it's the enlightened, middle of the road thing to say. And I just got to tell you, being a centrist does not make you intellectual. In fact, it makes you, a lot of times, a major cuck. But anyway, that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. We have more to talk about as it relates to this, but I'm going to end it here for now. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.